Coming up, we're three and a third rounds into the MLR, with the Pups still unbeaten and the Free Jacks 0-3, but our Eagles got a brilliant victory in Kansas City. Did Julia get struck by lightning? Stick around to find out. This is episode 25 of the Mall Street Journal. Hello and welcome to the Mall Street Journal, the podcast that brings you all the latest news and reviews for all things American rugby. We are part of the Global Gainline Network and can be found on all your usual platforms, including YouTube, Spotify, and iTunes. So if you haven't already, give us a like or a subscribe, tell a couple of friends about us, or if you really want to help us out, just build a time machine and send us to Hong Kong this past weekend for the Sevens. What a festival it was! Either way, this is episode 25. Thanks for joining us. I'm host for today, David Lawrence. I'm here again with Kolya. Kolya, how are things in lovely San Antonio?
We had rain and my school had a lockdown.
What?
Yeah.
For the
Yeah,
rain?
we had a road rage incident right outside the school.
That's right. I heard very tangentially about this.
Wow.
I hope and I assume because it was just
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
never mind. I don't want to say that I was going to say just because it's road rage, but I assume the kids are okay at least.
Yes, yes,
Fortunately, they're not letting kids drive yet.
yes.
The laws about things like honking in Texas are much stricter. My father-in-law got pulled over once because he honked at somebody, and the cop was like, "We don't need that."
That's
And I was thinking,
insane coming
and I
from
was
New
thinking,
England and the Mid-Atlantic.
it's probably because the person you're honking at probably has a gun.
Okay, that's fair. I guess I'm in the middle of those two lands because, like, you can absolutely assume that somebody has a gun here, but like, I am gonna honk at you, and that's just DC mania.
Well, as you can tell, also with us again is Rugby Julia. Julia, how's life in the old line state?
You really got me this time. No. I'm gonna get this. It's gotta be, it's gotta be one that has a railroad culture.
You could see your house from there.
I can see my house from there. West Virginia?
Maryland.
Maryland. Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah, I'm gonna get in a lot of trouble by the two people who are both from my region and know me and would say that. Dang, old line. Okay. All
I didn't
right,
think
fair
that one was
enough.
going to fly.
That's fantastic. No, so you're right. That's evil to compare me to a Marylander. But as we were just talking about driving, I rest easy knowing that I'm a better driver than everybody in the state of Maryland. Anybody is. A child would be.
My mom's from Maryland.
That's really gonna hit for 4 to 5 of our listeners.
My mom's from Dundalk, damn it.
Life is good. I wish that I was still at the event. I wish that event lasted forever. I wish I could live there. USA Rugby, if you're listening, do that more.
Yeah, seriously. Our tradition is to start with some news, but I think all of us came up blanks this week. Anyone? Well, I did see one thing just before we went on, actually. Julia had shared the cool link from USA Rugby. You know, they got somebody from the 91 World Cup to come and do some sort of jersey presentation to the players. And I sent it to Jan Rutkowski and said, "Hey, have you seen this yet?" And she said, "Oh, yes. Have you seen this?" And sent me the article about them being honored at Congress on April 16th.
Yes.
Nine players in the 91 World Cup.
I don't know how it like completely went under the radar. I do understand.
Because
Like we
it's
are
USA
having a
Rugby.
big A, it's USA Rugby, and B, we do have something big coming up tonight. Like I get it, but
It's true.
still, I would have liked to know.
And something was just announced,
Mhm.
or at least I just saw it
Uh-oh.
for the first time. It's
Drop it for
MLR,
us.
so we could get it later. The Chicago Hounds have announced Dog Day.
Oh, they've done this before, actually.
Yes, yes.
It's a
Sunday,
great
Is it
thing.
Sunday,
bring your
May
dog to the
3rd,
pitch?
bring your dog to a
Okay.
game.
Fantastic. And
I think
see,
they do
as
the
a
parade
women's
beforehand.
rugby player or as a women's rugby person, like that's funny to me because I'm like, that's just a match day. I didn't I didn't know that there was a kind of rugby where everybody wasn't bringing their dogs. And I have tried to impress this upon the UK folks because especially at women's matches, like you just see 1,000 pit bull mixes and they don't have that in the UK. It's just all little herding mixes or whatever. And I was like, yeah, I don't personally, I don't recognize rugby where there aren't 1,000 rescue mutts, but
To be fair, the Free Jacks have rescue dogs at every single home game. You can adopt you
Good.
can go to a Free Jacks game and leave with a dog.
Okay, that's fa well, I still think that's fantastic. I mean, maybe you should like check on them, but it's fine. It's fine.
Well, two teams in the MLR have played four games, while the other four have played three, if that makes any sense. Chicago, they remain unbeaten at 3-0, while my beloved Free Jacks are close to being mathematically eliminated. This weekend, Anthem lost at home to DC, who scored four first half tries. Kolya, any thoughts on this match?
So this was not my favorite match. It,
That was a dramatic pause for I
yes.
hated this.
There were a lot of injuries on both sides, causing a kind of weird lineup,
Mm,
and that played a role. So there was no Luke Carty.
We've
It
shipped
was,
off Rufus McLean. No,
yeah, it was not really a contest for much of it.
yeah.
that's not what you want to hear. Not at this stage.
DC kind of let up in the second half, but those four tries
But
had
by
already done the
then, I
trick.
was going to say,
Yeah.
by then it was over.
Aiden King, though, he delivered a standout performance on the defensive end. He ended up with, I think, 11 tackles and two turnovers, and he ended up with player of the match honors. DC, they looked ferocious in the first half, though.
A,
Yes,
a
they
thing
did.
I'm not used to hearing.
Yeah, what the one thing that this match told me is that Max Schumacher should be the fullback for the Eagles.
I
That's
love to hear
true.
that.
Mhm.
From
Julia,
your
did you
lips to
catch
God's ears.
did you catch the
I
highlights of this one
I
or
caught
anything?
highlights. I caught highlights.
Mhm.
Yeah, and completely agree. I mean,
And
I
you were
feel
able to find
silly.
some highlights. Interesting.
Yeah, like one or two, and it was through like a third party. Um, but yes, no, it really was just the highlights, and obviously, like I am the least of the three of us informed on this league. But no, that would be great. I'm so used to there never being any any Old Glory people on the team, so I wouldn't mind.
Next up, my Free Jacks. They struggled on the road and almost got doubled up 50-26 by the Second City Pups.
Oof.
It was the first time an MLR match was played in Tennessee for reasons still unclear to me. New England again showed poor discipline, with Captain Ben Lesage getting a permanent red card for stepping on Hilsenbeck's head, and that left us down a player for about 50 minutes. Kolya, the Free Jacks, they look like a mess right now. What do they need to do to turn things around?
So they actually looked halfway decent up until the red card. And
It
then
was
that
tied after
happened
like
and it
15, but
kind of just ended the contest.
yeah.
Now, it was a completely justified permanent red card.
Right. And
Like,
and
you can't
Which was
step on a guy's
surprising.
head.
That doesn't seem like a Ben Lesage move, but I don't know.
Mhm.
well, so that was what I was going to ask is did it feel like, especially considering performance, does it feel like it was frustration or desperate? Because those are two things that absolutely like we don't like it. It's not a fun thing, but like those two things breed cards is being either frustrated um or tired. Tired of everything. Tired
It's really hard to
spiritually.
say that because, he is our captain. He's usually the
Yeah.
most level-headed guy, and I didn't get the impression the Hounds were like intentionally winding him
Yeah.
up. So
No.
it seemed out of nowhere.
Yeah, no, the only reason I asked is because like I never hear that name with discipline. So I was
Yeah,
curious.
exactly. Julia, how do you keep a team whose average age is 22 motivated when you're staring down the barrel of being eliminated entirely? It's not a definite yet, but we basically have to win either five or six of the next seven games.
I mean, that's a really good question. And like I understand that understand like agreeably, it will sound like this is a cop out for me, but I do it makes me think this specific question makes me think of a conversation that coaches had around the 2025 Women's World Cup. I know I'm bringing it back, but bringing it back the differences in coaching is that with women, they perform well when they feel good. With men, they feel good if they perform well. And it has made me think, the only reason I bring it up is because it has made me think about instances like this, especially for a team like the Free Jacks, who is definitely not used to this.
Mm.
Not used to losing at all, let alone being in such a position that Like this position fucking sucks, dude. Like it sucks to be that close to elimination in yes, it's become a smaller league. Everything is shorter, yes, but still not really like in the dying breaths of the season or anything. In terms of how you keep them motivated, I'm curious, honestly. Because I don't know other than winning, like what motivates a young men's team. I would assume winning. So you've got to be frustrated if you're
Well, I
not.
think Henry Pollock just recently had a really elegant post about what it is that keeps people like himself motivated.
This is the kind of thing that I was thinking about actually was exactly that. I wasn't sure how to integrate that was exactly what I was thinking about. I wasn't sure how to integrate that into my answer
That is
like
not the Free
tactfully.
Jacks way.
No.
Unfortunately, winning is currently
It's
not our way either.
it's
With so
not
many young and new faces, and without like a legit preseason and time to train together,
right.
like it, if we somehow sneak in, every other team is going to be nervous because that means we're clicking by that point and all the experience and stuff. But it's going to be a tough one.
But if it happens, that will be more than a good sign, more, like a better sign than it would be for other teams comparatively, because I have to assume, and this does come from my not knowing the league as well as other people, but I have to assume, considering the mantra that we are saying a lot in rugby right now, that winning is a habit, losing is a habit.
Mm.
Winning is absolutely a free jack habit. So I would have to think that like if things start picking back up, the momentum will pick up quickly. I don't think that building momentum will be a problem. It's just getting those first wins.
It's one of those tough things too, whereas obviously I want us to make the playoffs. On the other hand, the road to the final goes to Chicago, who are
Is
currently
steep.
unbeaten, and the idea
Hmm.
of a New England team taking a massive smackdown in a grand final. Uh,
A team that has not taken a single smackdown. I'm
I know,
sorry. I mean,
but
haven't.
after
Yeah.
the Drake maybe explosion,
Mm,
that would be tough.
mm.
Kolya?
So I do want to turn it to Chicago now because
I'm
Chicago
curious.
played a really, really good game and they played in a style that I'd want USA Rugby to play with or
Mm,
play
I
with
like that.
in the ways or when we're not playing the big tier one nations. There were or it was kind of run off nine most of the time with De Haas until Santiago Videla came in, and
mm.
then things changed quite a bit. It was weird when Hilsenbeck went off for his HIA that they didn't bring Videla back in, or they didn't bring Videla in, but then they brought him in later.
Hmm.
So that was kind of strange, but
Do you think that it was strategy or preparedness? That it
probably
was ca-
preparedness.
okay.
Probably
That
preparedness.
was
Mm.
I figured that
Yeah,
was going to be.
yeah. Ruben de Haas had another really, really good game.
I was gonna
He's
say
awesome.
Yeah,
also
He's a great player.
let's I was
yeah,
gonna say like that's one that even like my non-knowing ass, I'm like, I like him.
Yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah.
know him and I like
I've been
him.
yeah.
watching him since he was on the Cheetahs, which I think occasionally he still is.
Yes, and he there was a great try that he scored late in the first half, little chip kick, which was fun. Chicago's pack just absolutely dominated this match.
Yeah.
Like
Which is something that I see
like
match over match, by the way.
the
That is
very
a
first scrum was a put in to New England and Chicago won a penalty from it.
Yeah.
you don't you don't want that to happen. It's not what you like to see.
All our set
Yeah.
pieces
Yeah,
wobbly.
and then it also looked like there was a half decent crowd there. Like I don't think they've announced the official attendance,
Yeah,
but
I
for
desperately tried to find that number and I couldn't. I don't even
yeah,
have an idea.
yeah, but for a game that wasn't really advertised much in the local community,
That's got to
Mm.
be a good fan base.
it seemed to be at least a quarter of Jodas Park there
That's
That's
not
pretty
bad.
good.
built. So
Yeah, it's
that's
not
pretty
bad.
good.
Was this a test balloon to see if this is maybe an expansion area?
That's a great question. That was
You've
going to
got
be
to
my
think
guess, to be
you've got to
honest.
think so with the comment that MLR put in afterwards after the game of like we'll be back.
Huh.
Like
And
Nashville will be back.
I will also mention that both Memphis and Nashville have extensive grassroots going on.
Yes.
There is a lot of growth happening in Tennessee. It's true that it's not rocketing up to we might get an MLR team, but absolutely they're building blocks. And I've gotten the same question from other folks, especially from the women's rugby world, which is like, why do they focus on stuff in Tennessee? Why are they focusing on stuff in Kansas City? I'm like, you need to understand that right now we're just doing seeds. We're basically just planting
Hmm.
plants. We're
What's the
getting ready.
top?
We're getting ready
What's
to
the
harvest the talent here.
what's the top rugby college in Tennessee?
Uh, Possibly UT Chattanooga.
I was
Hmm.
gonna say Chattanooga.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Chattanooga or Eastern Tennessee, but yeah,
Yeah.
Chattanooga.
Kolya already kind of mentioned it. You know, losing Lesage was really bad. He's just the engine that makes us go. We completely lost focus after that. And the connection between all the teammates, the new teammates especially, kind of disintegrated. And we don't have enough firepower to just outscore you when things go awry. So it was a tough one.
Oh,
Um,
so I do have news.
ah,
Ooh.
So I was just going through, or just saw this came out 1 minute ago. So
Ooh.
we talked a
Breaking
few weeks
news.
ago that a certain person was not picked up by an MLR team. A certain person
Mm-hmm.
has now been picked up by an MLR team.
Hmm.
And
Who?
he's Drake Davis has been picked up by the Seattle Seawolves.
Okay.
And he is going to
oh,
make his debut this weekend. As is Peyton Wall for Chicago Hounds. He is back for his sophomore season, the MLR Rookie of the Year.
my
Okay.
voice is still a little hoarse from screaming at at that bastard during the final last year.
You're
But
like, I'm actually still recovering from this.
yeah, so I mean, I guess that shows you that Seattle's a little desperate. I mean, he's obviously an athlete, but this is the NFL thing when people start using the phrase "say what you will about so and so."
And I
Mhm.
will.
Mhm.
Yes, we definitely will. Wow, that is depressingly hot off the press.
Yes.
Um, so finally this weekend, California Legion, they came from behind to take down the aforementioned Seattle Seawolves 38 to 31. This had to be the best match of the weekend. By the way, do you both know why they are the Seawolves?
I did at one point.
The
I
Seawolf class
also
submarines that are harbored there.
Yes, yes,
did it.
yes.
Yep. I was like, I know it has to do with the Navy, but I didn't remember what.
It was really nice. They came back from a couple of tries down. Kolya, did you see this comeback coming?
Uh, it it actually did seem to always be brewing. They were behind, not really thanks to or thanks to mistakes that could be fixed pretty easily.
Mm.
So, and once they fixed those mistakes, it was, as you said, a really even game that was really fun to watch.
Julia, we talked before the season about how hurt their fan base must be right now, but if they keep winning, the people might show up, right?
I think so. And one thing that I've picked up kind of rugby culturally is that there, regardless of performance, there is hunger in the Pacific Northwest for rugby. Um, I'm glad the Seawolves are there. I often, when I am trying to convert new friends, of course, there is no WER team up there, but there is the Seawolves. And trying to figure out a diplomatic way to say this. Uh, Performance aside, it's a sporting region. There is a fan base to get. With any stability, you could keep them, is what I'll say. If you got stable, if you went back to winning, because the Seawolves have won before. Seawolves have been good before. I don't know. I don't have an answer for what has happened since, but exists.
I
So,
do wonder about like this, especially Southern California fan base. Like, if I lived in San Diego, I'd probably have Padres season tickets because
yeah.
being outside in San Diego, like at a
Yeah.
beautiful park. Like that's a
I would just
great
go
day.
watch the
And
Sevens
going to
Girls
see the
train.
Legion.
I just hang
Yeah,
out.
yeah, and going to see the Legion and the great atmosphere. They're really fun fans and stuff. Like if I wasn't a big rugby fan, I would very much consider that. Like
Yeah.
all MLR events are reasonably priced, and it could be a great day just because the sun's out.
MLR is an easy sell, and I say that as I mean, I guess technically an Old Glory fan. But you know, most places can pull an audience, which is more than I can say for some of our women's stuff at this point. Um, I don't know. I think there's a market there. I don't I don't have a good conclusion. I'm just agreeing with you. I think you're right.
And thoughts for either of you on the MLR 2026 so far?
I wish it were bigger. I wish it were
Yes.
Yeah,
longer.
even once I resided myself to the six teams thing, I spent a few hours building a spreadsheet. Like, okay, how can we still get 16 games out of this? How can we make it easier for the travel element and all this stuff? And I came up with a plan. It was like, I've cracked it. And then they were like, by
Did
the
you
way,
send it to Bill Gorin?
I sent it to Alex
No, I know.
Bagleby and
I'm
Tuck
kidding.
Riley and
Yeah,
everywhere I
Mags,
could.
Mags,
I was like, Mags,
throw
but
it to your buddy. If
he was like,
anybody
I
can,
think that ship has sailed. So, anyway, I do want to take a moment to
that's
remind all
small
of you.
thinking. Sorry.
Yes. Liking and subscribing is the best way to help us grow. If you could tell a friend or two, that would be smashing. We are part of the Global Gainline Network. We're incredibly grateful for your ongoing support. We're growing steadily on YouTube, and we remain your one-stop shop for all things American rugby. We've also got Irish content, South African content. We've got the Women's Treehouse. We've got URC content, and don't forget, Hugh's Top 14 Digest now has its own little title as well. And I honestly listen to every single one of these and highly recommend them. Do yourself a favor, check it all out. Tell a couple of friends. We always appreciate your support. Okay, the other American action. This weekend was the second round of the goofily named Pacific Four Series. New Zealand beat Canada 36 to 14, and our Eagles got a convincing win over the Wallaroos 33 to 12. Julia, you were there. Before we
I
talk about the two
was.
games, tell us about it. It sounded like it was apocalyptic.
It was. So to lay the scene, especially for our international friends, Kansas City is a city that exists in both Kansas and Missouri. This one was in Missouri. It's the bigger Kansas City, they would tell you. Now, unfortunately, and we had joked about this last week when we were talking about the other one. Unfortunately, especially for the Aussies, in Sacramento, they had the torrential downpour and then they had the tornado. And then here in Kansas City, I was getting ready for the match to go in. It was supposed to start at 5:15 local time. I was getting ready around 3:45 just because like I like to get ready and then like laying around. I'm one of those. And we immediately got a by the way, apocalypse is coming. So we're gonna push it. I was meeting a friend at the brew. There's a brewery right by CPKC Stadium. For those who didn't know, this both of these matches happened at CPKC Stadium, which is the first purpose-built women's sports stadium in America.
Oh, dear.
Men have played there, but it is built for the Kansas City Current, which is their NWSL team, which is our pro soccer league. It's a fantastic
So
venue.
there's no crossbar.
Yeah. That's great. So yes, I was gonna meet up a friend with at the brew house nearby. We ended up going. I ended up sitting there way longer because what ended up happening is, unfortunately, literally every 27 minutes, lightning struck. And the lightning rule that we maintain is that you cannot take the field 30 minutes since a lightning strike. I swear to God, it was against me personally. Not
Wow.
really. But anyway, the start times were supposed to be 5:15 for Canada New Zealand, 8 o'clock for USA Australia, and ended up being 8 o'clock for Canada New Zealand and 10:30 for USA Australia. Midnight rugby does not happen very much in either of our rugbies.
Mhm.
It was very hard. I found it very funny that I had just talked in my Women's Rugby Treehouse episode about how because of a new medication that I am trying, I start to kind of like not Trump level, but like a little bit get sweepy. I get a little sweepy around 9:30, 10. Um, and so I was there and I did tell a much longer story on Women's Rugby Treehouse. I will
I have
abridge
to ask, was the crowd completely hammered by then?
So, remarkably, not that bad. Not really. I will say this, and this is completely separate from like any rugby at all, but it's remarkable that like the younger generations, and I was just reading a report about this from the Atlantic. Ooh, name drop. I was just reading an article about this, but Gen Z is not drinking.
Hmm.
Gen Z doesn't drink. And I found that to be true.
Oh.
Everybody in the bar was my age. So
Well, I think
no,
was it you and Hattie who were just talking about it? How, there's this big potential there. The women aren't going to go buy all the beers, but they are going to buy all the merch.
absolutely. That's exactly right. So, one of my many good reports from this site. So, first of all, considering that like Kansas City doesn't control the weather, nobody does. Regardless of what some of our senators say, we do not have weather machines. It was not our choice. I was really pleased with the crowd that ended up. I was sure nobody would come. I have an old friend who is not a rugby person, but is very big into women's sports, so much so that she'd go to anything. And she is from Kansas City. She lives in Kansas City. So she was coming to this, and I was texting her because I was really excited to meet up with her. And I texted her at like 7:30 local time, and I was like, "Girl, are you coming? Like, I want to grab a drink with you, whatever." Before she's like, "Ooh, so when it was delayed, I like took off my pants, and so like I'm not coming." And I was like, "Okay." So I was really worried that'd be everybody, but no, it's just my lazy good friend.
That's kind of the rule.
Um, yeah, it is kind of the rule. She was like, "I got all dressed and cute, and like I had to take it off," so you know. Um, but all of that said, it was actually a pretty great crowd. The event was fantastic. The venue was
Mm.
fantastic. It was the right venue to do. I I for of course, don't go back. We had a really long episode. Women's Rugby Has had a really long episode last weekend because we didn't break it up. Um, but I did tell the story of this fantastic dude that I met who was sitting next to me in I splurged. This was my little gift to myself for the year. I splurged on really good tickets for this. And this guy who had a deep, okay, so Kolya, I was wishing all night that you were with me because I needed you so badly. You would have been the perfect emissary between me and this guy because he was from Louisiana, definitely in his 60s, big guy, definitely watched football. But he told me that he saw some clips from the 2025 World Cup on Facebook, and he was like, women are doing this. Huh, that's crazy. And of course, he's saying all this in like a very deep Louisiana accent. And he was telling me that he saw all of these clips and he was like, this is crazy. And he became a diehard Black Ferns fan. So he was there for
Hmm.
the Black Ferns. His favorite player is Kaipo Olsen Baker, who, if you watched the New Zealand Canada game, had an insane intercept try at the end of the
Wow.
Yeah.
match
Yeah.
that was right in front of us. And
Oh,
this guy lit up like a child, and it was the
Yeah.
best thing ever. But I was really trying, like, I want to make sure this guy stays in rugby because this is who we
Yeah.
want. And he was so excited to be there. He didn't speak a word during the game, and like people around were like chatting and getting excited, and he was like, "We're trying to watch right now." That's my guy. That's
Yeah.
my guy. We had great chats. I did tell him about Wall Street Journal. I was like, "We've got a host you'll love. Like, please, please come." Um, but oh
nice.
man, it would have been a perfect Kolya moment because
Does he have Basque roots?
I know, right? I was like, "Do you like whales?
Yes.
Do you know about bats?
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about the Acadians?" He's like, "No, I just kind of want to watch the sport." Kolya and I want to talk to you about it. No, I had a really great time. It was really great to sit next to somebody who like truly just saw some clips and then
That's
was
great.
like, "I am going to travel to Kansas City to
Yeah.
see a bunch of New Zealand women." And I was like,
Yes.
"Dope." Um, all of that said, I was really happy with how they put it on. It was a really great event. Obviously, seeing USA was the candle on top of everything, or the
Mm.
cherry on top of everything. What a fantastic match. But honestly, if any of you are listening and we are lucky enough to bring Pack 4 back, I cannot recommend enough going. And obviously, unfortunately, and I'm sorry to our fans, I was really sick when we were going to record, so I know that it's tonight. But if for some reason you can get to Chicago and you still hear this, I hope you go.
Start
Um,
driving now.
Start driving now. If you're in Illinois, start driving now. It is
Kolya,
in,
it looked like you wanted to jump in there.
yeah,
No.
sorry about
No.
that.
No. I'll jump in a moment.
Okay.
No,
Well,
that was all I was gonna say is that it was a really great time. Understandable, especially if you're a huge rugby head, that you would perhaps have some warranted doubt. Um, I've been to a lot of events. I went to New York Sevens with David. I wish I could have brought David to this one. I think you would have had a blast.
mm,
I
yeah.
wish you had been there with me.
Well, the games themselves, New Zealand 36, Canada 14. The Kiwis got over to whitewash five times,
Hurt
all
my
different
feeling. It hurt
players.
my feelings so much. I was wearing my Canada shirt and he
It
was
was
wearing
not
his New
a
Zealand shirt that he very clearly bought for the occasion. It was great.
Renee Holmes. She converted three of those five, while the Aussies really struggled. Only Asia Hogan Rochester getting over, though they did get a penalty try when Georgia Ponsonby got yellow carded just before halftime. Uh, Kolya, what were your thoughts on this match?
On the New Zealand one or the
Yeah,
USA one?
New
New
Zealand.
Zealand, Canada.
Uh, New Zealand looked like they were out with the point to prove, and they did
This
it.
was such it was such a grudge match. And I walked past Whitney Hansen going to the bathroom
Mhm.
because New Zealand has a women's coach and she was coming out and I was coming in and I was just like, you guys are having a great match. And she was like, I know. I
Yeah,
was like, yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It it was not good for Canada. It actually gave me hope for the US match this.
I don't have an answer for it
Interesting.
except for that I'm honestly kind of excited about tonight.
Yeah,
Mm.
I have a little bit of hope. I think tonight might be
yes.
dope. I do.
Well,
Ooh, ooh, ooh. Wait, I have
we'll
a
certainly get to it. But Julia, what about you? I thought this match was going to be a lot closer, maybe even going Canada's way. Did you see this result coming?
no, and I am owning up to it now. I did it on Women's Rugby Treehouse as well. We were totally wrong. We called it for Canada.
Mm.
Not by a lot. We said that we thought it would be, within 2 to 7 points at most. But we are on the American pod, so I won't go too deep into it. But I think what we learned is that for worse, and Canada knows this, so this isn't to like drive home a mean point or anything, but unfortunately, the way Canada works right now, and by the way, Ireland has this problem too. Um, there's a lot of reliance on sevens players, and you notice when they're not there. For example, you notice when Liv Apps
Yep.
isn't there, for
Mhm.
example.
Yes.
Though to be
You
fair, New Zealand might have had that affliction even worse. There's no
it's
Vahakolo. There's they're missing
it
some big guns.
You're absolutely right. And it really didn't benefit from there being a sevens event that weekend. Otherwise, Hakolo would have been there and several of them would have been there.
Mm.
But I really think what this did was expose the difference in what the meaning of the word depth is.
Mm.
Canada, in fairness, so Canada has the one team ethos, and they're talking about that right now a lot. And I totally understand it. And by the way, again, teams like Ireland and France do this too. However, several of those are trying to break away from it and are saying that we realize that ultimately you can't rely on that forever because you can't ask a few star athletes to just never have a season off. And
Yeah.
we have the problem with the Lev Kelter. We do that too. Erica Koulibaly is the first amazing performer that we've had that we haven't shoved into the sevens as well. And we are seeing huge results. We're seeing a player that is not exhausted from being on the circuit one weekend and being on the team the
Yeah.
other. And we look at somebody like Liv Apps for Canada. She would have been coming straight off the Spain Valladolid, I think, is where they were last. But like would have been coming off with like 3 days rest and whatever jet lag there was.
Yeah, that hasn't happened yet. That's next. But if
Oh, my
by
bad.
the way, not to completely sidetrack us, but
Oh,
did you
my bad.
did you all watch Live Apps this weekend?
I did.
Jesus.
And just well, but that's the reason why I bring it up is because like I am a huge Justine Pelletier fan, absolutely. But if you could have had both, I
Yeah,
think things would have been different.
for sure.
But no, I mean there were a few key things if I were to analyze it, but we're on the American pod.
Yeah,
I'm thrilled New Zealand did exactly what they said they were going to do. They said that they wanted to do. They did
they
it.
looked dominant with a bit of an off-brand squad for sure, and
Absolutely.
I like New Zealand. So that this is like the Canada versus New Zealand is the hardest match for me to watch because
Absolutely.
I'm always miserable at the end.
Well, so
Um,
so my gentleman friend who was when I sat down, I was wearing my Canada. I so it was supposed to be cold. I was going to just wear my USA jersey that I had bought specifically for the occasion, but surprisingly, it got really cold in the evening, which it wasn't supposed to do originally. So all I had on me was my long sleeve Canada shirt that I was wearing on the plane because I knew the plane would be cold. And so I was like, I mean, fair enough. Canada's playing. Why not? I'm still rooting for them. And when we sat down and when we were talking about it, and I was just like, I am like nominally like rooting for Canada. Um, but
but
yeah, if you're there,
doesn't hurt my feelings either way.
exactly. And so I was telling him, and I was like, but the thing is, when Canada plays New Zealand, I don't lose.
Mhm.
because whoever wins, I
Yeah,
win.
yeah, yeah. It's funny that I took it the opposite.
When
Okay,
we when we go
the
on
big
to
one,
USA,
yeah, yeah,
I was gonna
is
say when they win, it's not the
just
same.
so our Eagles or Sheagles, as I've just learned that Julia has dubbed them, beat Australia 33-12. Hope Rogers nabbed another brace, and it occurs to me that I should really make a keyboard shortcut for that phrase.
You have to.
Um, uh, of course, show favorite Frida Tafuna, she got herself another try as well. Georgia Paris Redding scored just before the half-hour mark, and Emily Heinrich
And she was
got a
such a
nice little
shithouse
sort of
too.
a
She
little salt in the
really,
wounds. Yeah,
she was
but
Particularly
GPR.
second half.
I just wanted to
for
say
sure.
GPR had a great had a great night. She was really excited to like fuck around in front of her fans, and she did, and it was great.
Mhm.
It while I believe objectively either Frida or Hope had the best match. In my heart, GPR had the best match
Mm.
just because I
Annabella
love
Vogel,
watching her shithouse.
Annabella Vogel converted 4 of our 5 tries. I thought it
I
was a
am so
pretty
ready for
top to
this.
bottom performance. Julia, take it away. Break down what you saw this weekend.
I'm so ready to have this exact discussion, and especially because I've gotten to bounce this off of my women's rugby treehouse co-host Hattie. We were talking a lot about this new 9-10 partnership, and I'm really glad that I have Kolya because I really want to know your thoughts after I lay mine out. So I was sad. So the thing is, I am an Olivia Ortiz fan. However, I think she's injured or something. She's still in Manchester, so surely she shouldn't have, or she didn't travel with the team. So what we're looking at now is Cass Bargel, who we already know this podcast cosigns. That's fine.
Yeah.
Abigail Patton is 19 from Life University. And Bella Vogel is 19 and from Life University. And I believe that what we are seeing now, because first of all, this was a better 9-10 partnership than we've had on the Women's Eagles in recent memory.
Mm.
This worked for me in a way that I genuinely didn't expect to see. I'm thrilled. I did not expect it. I thought surely two 19-year-olds who have been playing together for like 2 or 3 years already at Life, they're both in the age grade pathways for USA Rugby already. They've both played USA Rugby sevens at age grade. I didn't expect it to be this comprehensive, and it was really comprehensive. I think those two know ball. Like that's where I'm at, is that the rugby IQ was remarkable for how young they are. Obviously you bristle when you're told that it's about to be a 19-year-old with one cap who's going to be your starting 10. Um, I like, again, I love Olivia Ortiz. I think Cass Bargel and Abigail Patton might be the future of R9. I think that might be it. It made me very
Kolya?
happy. Oh yeah, please, Coley, I definitely want to know what you thought.
So I agree completely on Caspar Gel. She played a really, really, really good
She had a
match.
great weekend.
Yeah, and same with Patton. Like I've gotten my notes. Like this I think is largely down to Vogel still kind of getting into the seat of being a
Absolutely.
10, but Bargel and Patton actually did most of the fly half duties, positioning players, etc.
Absolutely.
And what kind of threw me was Vogel kept going into rucks.
Yeah. And so here's my question. This is what I've been thinking about since that match. Is it, and I keep ending on the answer yes. Is it the worst thing in the world if your 9 is your playmaker and not the 10? And unfortunately, I think my answer is yes. But I don't know.
Well,
It's less predictable.
it's more of a French thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was just going to say
Yeah.
it
That's
worked worse
very
for
fair.
DuPont.
Yes,
That's a really great. Yeah,
yes,
Dupont and Tema. Yeah,
yeah,
that's a fantastic analog. Yeah.
And
yeah,
also the overenthusiasm at the breakdown, that can just be young and wanting to do
yes,
too
yes,
much.
Yes.
yes. That
Yes.
that that is my thought. Like I liked Vogel's goal kicking a lot. She hit
I
some
mean,
some
remarkable.
really good.
Remarkable kicking.
Yeah, with
Yes,
confidence too.
yes, yes.
I do
Her
like her
her
swag a lot. I'm sorry,
yes,
the swag
yes,
sold me a lot.
yes, yes, yes. But her touch finders weren't great,
True.
especially in the first half.
True.
Of course, neither were Lev's. and I'm still not completely sure what we're doing with Lev at 15.
So everybody that I'm talking to, ball knowers across the spectrum, everybody is DMing me with this. Is that they don't understand 11 at 15, and I don't have an answer. I don't know. I think it's a bad decision. I don't
Yeah.
know. So my question is, why isn't below at 15 where she belongs? What
Mhm.
are we are do we feel that we have a dearth at wing? I would assume no. But
I
Why
wouldn't
has
think
nobody
so.
asked our coach about this? Why has,
so that's what
you
I'm
know?
curious about. So I was watching the interviews with Jack Hanratty leading up to the match that I saw and then after the match that I saw. And it does really seem like he is in and so this comes from him being both a sevens coach and a coach that is coming from Canada. And he is very bought in to the next generation, which is good and bad. Um,
Mhm.
Unfortunately, when you are saying that you're going to move on from a generation, you move on from people like Hope Rogers. Like, we're not going to move
Mm.
on from Hope Rogers,
Yes.
but maybe we move on from Olivia Ortiz, and that sucks. But if you are starting this new look and you plan on staying more than a year, which is really what we want from a coach at this
Yes.
point, if so, now, well, unfortunately, now is when you would do it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now is
Well,
when you start your new cycle.
Kolya, I'm going to give you the total ESPN style question. Did USA win this game or did Australia lose it?
Good question.
USA won this match.
Absolutely. 100%.
Absolutely. Now,
Absolutely.
now
Australia
my
fought like
yeah,
hell.
yeah, my question for you, Julia. One thing that I was noticing over both matches is that we don't seem to actually be set up to use Gerald Cersei in the best way.
Mm.
Completely agree.
How
I
how
think
do we do that? How do we get her playing like she does in England?
that's such a good question. And oh God, that's such a good question. And it's something I've thought about. What confounds me is America right now. In general, we tend to and I could be reading this wrong, but we don't get a lot of feedback from the officials or from the like official speakers for US
Yes.
Rugby. Um, we don't do a lot of crash ball tries in general. And that's a lot of what Sail Sharks does. This is also all
Yes.
English rugby style.
Yeah.
There is a lot of maul tries. There are a lot of 10 to 15 meters out at most. Let your baby giraffe crash through. What I don't, what frustrates me, and I don't have a good answer for, is that like if we played that way, we know that Hope Rogers would be getting Hatties every time. Like that would be happening.
Yes.
Frida Tafuna would be getting braces every time. I at this point, and I have been asking myself this exact question, I am guessing that it's coming from a coach that is more sevens brained.
Mhm.
We do know for sure his main focus is the backs, which is fair because of the two, when he came in, our forwards were made way better settled than our backs. But you're exactly right, and it's so frustrating. I don't know how to unlock her. Um, Unfortunately,
Despite not her top performance, her performance as captain, I thought was great. I think
was
she's
absolutely fantastic.
Yes.
So where I'm at is that unfortunately the only way that I see that we could unlock her the way we want to and that we could use her is that we need to resort to both more reliance on set pieces, which is hard. We're not going to go that
Yeah.
direction right now. There's a lot more work that you have to do in order to free up a lock to do that.
Yeah.
And also, the fact that she is nearly 6 feet won't change.
Yes.
We will unfortunately need her to constantly be caught up in rucks and malls.
Yes.
I don't know how you fix that. And it's so frustrating because I want to both free her up. I want her to be able to play like a back rower, but she's not. She's not a
Yeah.
back rower. We can't waste her.
Yes.
That's such a
Yes.
good question. What
Yes.
I'm curious what you think because that's honestly what I would ask you.
Well, I don't know because like the way I would unlock her is kind of changing how we play.
Yeah,
And when we're starting to actually do things right, I wouldn't want to
I
do
would shift.
that.
Exactly. I would shift it when
right.
it works.
Yes.
But and this isn't commentary on any sort of coach or whatever, but like rugby is not a game in general where you can change gears that fast.
Yes.
There are 15 people and everybody has kind of a like yes, there are some positions where there are two of them, but
Yes.
everybody kind of has their own individualized role. And in order to totally pivot, I mean, even the Red Roses, when the Red Roses came out and said they would like to stop relying on Maul tries, the Six Nations after they said that, all of their tries were Maul tries still. I think it just takes longer.
Yes.
And this is where it comes back to like, I really hope that they finally selected a coach for longevity.
Yeah.
I hope that it's not somebody who's looking for a better job. Sione Fukufuka, blessings, but he moved up. He
Well,
gets
you kind of teed this up for me. So and so I guess it's for either of you. We obviously love her, but she's been threatening retirement for quite some time now. Are we too reliant on Hope Rogers?
I will wait to hear what Kolya says as well. What I will say for my part is no. I think we're very reliant on her as a very strong prop. And it feels to me often when she gets her braces and hat tricks that they are almost despite our game plan. It's just that she's that good. Well, it is just that she's that good.
Yeah.
We do like to rely on getting the ball out and away from the forwards fast. Some teams don't. So, like France has no problem never getting it out to the backs. We're
But I
not
mean,
there.
but if that's true, that means when she does call it quits, we're losing one or two tries every game.
And so that's what I'm really curious about. We've got identical twins coming up. They are both props. They've both been playing in the AIL in Ireland. I'm really
Oh.
curious because, and obviously, like this, first of all, this podcast is pro Hope Rogers. This is pro
Yes.
Hope Rogers
Very
podcast.
much.
However,
Yes.
every person deserves retirement. You
Oh,
can't do it
yes.
forever. We can't break her body forever. Um,
I must have
I
seen at
don't.
least three interviews with her over the last like 3 years where she's like,
Where she keeps
"Yeah,
threatening.
I'm
She keeps
probably gonna
threatening.
call it quits. This might be it."
I I do keep wondering every time Exer announces that she's re-signed. I'm like, do you mean resign? They're like, no, re-signed. I'm like,
Yeah.
Yes.
oh, okay. Are you sure?
Yes.
I'm curious though. Tonight, in fact, both of the twins are on the bench.
Ooh.
I'm eager.
Yeah.
Well, either of you, any final thoughts on the Pac 4 weekend?
Can we talk about Han Humphreys?
Definitely.
Yes, yes, we can. Oh my God, what an incredible crossover win!
Yes.
I'm so glad you did. Well, actually, on Women's Rugby Treehouse, we have a whole segment on Hannah Humphreys
Okay.
because
Okay.
of oh no no, only because you're absolutely dead right.
Yes.
It's insane for this to be their first full 15 season.
Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
wild. Are you insane? Um, I'm so thrilled. I hope that they decide to stay a crossover. I think that they could be as good as like Canada's Pamphlet Buisa. Like truly could win medals in both. Absolutely.
It's funny because I'm the one who posed the question about are we too reliant on Hope Rogers, and I've had this fear about some of our older players who may or may not retire. I was worried it was going to be an Ireland thing where it's like,
Yeah.
oh, geez, we have no backup plan. We have no one who's gotten time.
Can you
I
come
don't,
back?
I don't feel that way anymore. The look of our young players, the people coming in, I have a great deal of hope.
And I do understand the pushback. There is understandable pushback in the American rugby community or American like fan rugby community. There is pushback on the idea of letting stalwarts move on. It's not getting rid of, it's letting them move on.
Hmm.
Remember, obviously, like probably in Hope's mind, in the back of her mind is like, I am the best that America has and that I have to stay. It would be nice for her and for everyone if you could feel like there is somebody, and in my opinion, for right now, it's Jack Hanratty, that is saying both, we value your contributions, you will still have your shirt as long as you want it, and we are making sure that it's not empty when you leave. So I appreciate it.
Well, starting in just a couple hours as we record this, the USA will face off against Canada in
So
Chicago, and
excited.
then in the wee small hours, this year's tournament will conclude with Australia at home for their rivals from across the ditch. Kolya, this is a great opportunity for our Eagles, but
What
Canada,
are you thinking about tonight, man?
they're going to be hurting. They are always a tough physical matchup for us. Exactly right. What are our keys to getting a win tonight? And that win could have huge ramifications on the table and in even world rankings, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, I like prior to the tournament, I was dreading this match. After this past weekend, I'm like, there's a chance.
Dead on. That's
There's a
exactly how I
chance.
feel. I think there is a chance. I I think it's a lot of things, but I will say this in my in my reverie before we probably get beaten. But still,
Mhm.
the Erica Gerald Cersei era, I think it's gonna be a really good era.
Mhm.
I'm
Julia,
excited.
what needs to happen to finish off this tournament with a massive W? Who, if
Tonight, tonight,
if
tonight we
tomorrow
need
morning you see a winning scoreline, if you missed the game and you saw a winning scoreline, who would you immediately think, oh, she had to have been player of the match?
Frida Tafuna. I would love it if it was equal backs and forwards tries because it
Mm.
has been proven to me that our backs can score backs tries. And I say that because especially if you're also watching the Women's Six Nations right now, you see a lot of contrast. There are some teams that can't score backs tries. We
Yeah.
can. Canada is another team that absolutely can, to be fair.
Yes.
But a lot of what we saw from Australia was an inability to capitalize on opportunities that were had by the forwards. If we can do that, we can be a better team than them in the rankings.
Mhm.
Down in the Southern Hemisphere, Australia, they'll have home field advantage, but little else in their favor as the Black Ferns roll into Sunshine
They
Coast
are the first
Stadium.
A in Anzac Day. They get that.
They've got that going for them. The Aussies, they've looked listless and at
I
times
know.
outright confused.
I really do wonder if it's a coaching thing.
Well, Kolya, there's the question for you. What's wrong with the Wallaroos right now?
No.
And do they have any kind of shot tomorrow morning?
They obviously have a shot, but would I bet more than a penny on it?
Well,
No.
New Zealand beat Canada and Canada destroyed Australia.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
Yeah, the transitive properties are not looking good in this one.
yes,
No.
yes.
No, and it's really
I'm expecting New Zealand by at least 30.
yeah.
Julia, same question. What's Australia's biggest work on right now? And, how do they come away from this tournament feeling good, like with something they can build on? They've only scored 12 points in the entire tournament. That would be nice to change, right?
It would. And here's what I will say in Australia's defense. Again, hat tip to friend of the All of Us Hattie, who did the ins and outs for all of the teams. Australia had one of the highest percentage in and out for players. They had 11 of at when the time when she
Oh,
was looking at
wow.
11 starters or 11 potential starters were new.
Wow.
So to that I say, well, wait, because that's difficult. That's hard to overcome, but absolutely, if there's a time to do it, it's the
Yes.
beginning of a new World Cup cycle. So, okay. And Australia might be looking at this the same way that, for example, a Scotland or Wales might have been looking at last year of just like, all right, this is my restart. And I'm kind of chalking it up to that because I really don't see a way that they win. I don't.
Okay, folks, prediction time. As we talk, New Zealand are 2-0 with 10 points. Canada and USA are tied on 5 points. Australia, they've got a big goose egg. Julia, give us your prediction. USA versus Canada in about an hour and a half.
I'm going to swing for the fences because it's our podcast and we're allowed. I'm going to say for USA, my instinct, and I think it's more what I would like to be true rather than like what is likely, is I would love it to be a low scoring. I would love it
Hmm.
to be like 1 to 2 tries. What I think will end up happening is that either Canada will run away with it early, or it will stay very tight up until the very end. So, because I feel like being nice to myself and you guys and our people, I'm gonna say 15-25 to Canada. I would really like it to be closer. I would really like it to be closer, but I worry about our defense. For us,
Oh.
for
Well,
Australia, New Zealand,
Kolya, give us
yeah, I do.
your prediction for USA Canada.
I'm gonna say, like, despite being bullish on the US, I'm gonna say a 6 point win for Canada.
Wow.
That's totally good.
I am not going to betray our nation, and I'm going to say that we're going to replicate the score we got last weekend, and we're going to win 33 to 28 despite a furious comeback.
That would be
Um,
fantastic. I would be so happy with that score.
yeah, big time. Kolya, we'll start with you for Australia versus New Zealand.
New Zealand by 30 plus.
For me, I'm
Yeah,
I'm just gonna go. For me, I'm gonna go just slightly less. I would say 20 or more. But yeah.
Kolya, I'm sorry, you said plus 30,
Y-
Mm.
Yeah.
and Julia, you said plus 20. I'm actually trying to keep track of this
And
stuff because
David
I don't
wants you to
remember.
know he's keeping notes
I am.
so that he can text both of us in the morning and go, well,
Yeah.
well, well.
Yeah.
By the way, if Canada can get 5 points against us and New Zealand get nilled by Australia, Canada would still need to win
If
by
New
a
Zealand
minimum
get
of
nilled against
57.
Australia.
I know.
Okay.
But even if that happened, Canada would still need to win by at least 57 points. So it doesn't take Nostradamus to foresee who's winning it by the end.
All I'll say this, especially to our abroad fans, if you thought the Six Nations was fun, I really think you're missing out if you're not also watching Pac 4. That's all I'm saying.
Also, this past weekend, of course, was the Hong Kong Sevens. We already kind of mentioned it. It was a 3-day party. Our women took fifth place, beating Japan, and our men lost to Germany to fall to 12th place. A disappointing showing after working so hard to get back up to the top tier. Either of you have any thoughts or insights from Kai Tak Stadium?
So I watched very little of this, but our men looked really, really bad.
Yes,
And I
unfortunately.
and I think there needs to be a hard reset for the program with the roster
Mm.
for the next series.
I think I think as much as they can overhaul it better, top to bottom, honestly. It's not gotten better, it's gotten worse. They're risking going down to 7-3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some cool stuff too with the Melrose Cup. That's always fun. They have to hoist the claymore as part of the trophy, and I'm like, one of these days,
Everybody
one
be
of these rich
careful.
people in back of them is absolutely going to perish.
On purpose.
uh, okay, Kolya, before we call a full lid, got any grassroots for us? I think there's at least one update.
Yes, there's three things I want to bring up. One, the National Collegiate Sevens is starting their championship this weekend
Yes,
In
indeed.
Indianapolis, Indiana, which everyone will love to hear.
in Indianapolis.
I will be doing comms for it on Sunday.
I
Then
know we're very excited to all support our David.
Division 1A has their Final Four this weekend. Life versus Navy in one semifinal,
Ooh,
and
Wow.
the St. Mary's Gales versus the Cal Bears in the other one.
wow.
So
The one
setting
that's
up,
fun.
It's funny, even I don't really watch football at all anymore, and I've never watched college football, but I will always watch Army Navy. That is
Mhm.
always a good game.
You are a good American.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
It
always
was
like 6-3.
I
yeah
was gonna say it's always extremely low scoring.
it was a or the Army Navy rugby match this past weekend was pretty fun to watch.
Oh, I
Bit
missed
of a
it.
Navy blowout in the end, but
Bit of a blowout.
yeah,
Oh,
I
I
did see
completely
the
missed that one.
scores. I didn't see highlights, but I did see the
yeah.
scores.
But I want to end on some controversy in your neck of the woods, Julia.
Let's do it.
So the CRU had their final
Mm-hmm.
between Virginia Rugby,
Mm.
RFC,
Okay.
and
Great. I'm excited that you
Severn
brought this
Rivers
up. Yep.
RFC.
Mm-hmm.
Now, after the match, Virginia RFC put out a
A
statement,
complaint.
and I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to read this. VR,
They're such adult
VRFC
babies.
suffered a 30 to 24 defeat in the CRU final. On Thursday night, prior to the match, the competition committee of the CRU, in response to Severn Rivers' complaint, suspended 4 VRFC players scheduled to start based on allegations involving matches played 7 months ago. We disagree with that decision as those players are all registered with USA Rugby, eligible to play, and should have played in this match. Although we have been given 48 hours to appeal the results of the match and the suspensions, we will not seek to invoke technicalities to change the results of what happened in a match. For the good of the game and our club, we will improve our internal processes and lobby the CRU for more transparent disciplinary procedures that allow players due process. To be clear, Severn River won both in the goal of their complaint and on the pitch. We accept that result. Thank you
You
to our
could have just
families,
you
supporters,
could
and the
have
greater
just
club rugby.
this was so weird to me. VRFC usually like it's so weird between them, especially considering that like all the Virginia clubs have such a great relationship with Severn River. I played against Severn River many, many times.
I think that's a
This
club. One week when you weren't available, I think I made up the fact that you were playing for them that weekend.
Oh, good, good. I do have an ancient picture of me playing for them because their hooker got sick right before the match and they only had one and my team had three. So they were like, off you go. And I was like, dope. And that's how rugby used to work, folks.
Oh yeah,
Still works
No, but
sometimes.
and
yeah.
still sometimes. Speaking of grassroots news, the news is that's how it works at grassroots. No, this is the weirdest sour grapes I've seen in a while. Um, It was about registration. I don't even remember what it's called. Now with USA Rugby, it's not SIP anymore, but it was just who everybody was registered to and whether they should have been
Yes.
able to compete in this conference.
Did they get taken over by the former coach of the
Shh.
Bulls? Is it Jake White?
Shut
Is that his
up.
name?
Right? I wish they would, because maybe they would have won. So, no, I think that was so silly, and I think that it's something that like you could have just chalked off. I understand that it was silly that Severn River levied the complaint too.
Putting
It
out a
was.
statement that long, the gist of which
Yes.
That's what
is
I'm
we're
saying
not going
is
to complain about
it
this, is
seems
really
a
Yes.
little
funny.
it
Yes.
seems a little doth protest too much. That's
Yes.
exactly it.
A little passive aggressive.
A little bit passive. And it was so weird too because like by the way, regardless of the registrations of everybody, you extremely lost. Just putting it out there, you lost normally. So, okay. I'm really glad you brought that up because that is very funny and I hope everybody
That's
goes and
great.
sees just two teams of adult men like slap fighting.
So both of you, I think, will like this and can use it in your futures.
Mhm.
A friend of mine was being argued with somebody, and at one point she said, "You're just so passive aggressive," and he said, "Calling somebody passive aggressive is a passive aggressive thing to do."
Correct. Correct, it is. And by the way, I'm not being passive aggressive. I'm being regular aggressive
Yes,
because we're
exactly.
arguing.
We're very clear.
But that's very New England that everything is passive aggression.
Oh yes. Uh, what is it? If you make the mistake of telling somebody in New England that it's nice out, they'll give you one of two responses. Either, "Yeah, well, we waited long enough," or, "Yeah, not going to get many more of these."
That is so true.
Well, Kolya, Julia, this has been fantastic as always. It's been so fun to have an Eagles win to discuss and a really good one. I'm incredibly excited for the game that's going to start. This pod, sadly, is not going to come out until the results are already in the bag. Hopefully, we won't look too stupid.
We don't know. They might, because sometimes if Lee is bored, he puts it out immediately. So we don't know.
That's true.
You
So
might
if
have
it's
30 minutes to
it's
listen
it's
to a 45-minute podcast.
yes, it's after midnight where Lee is. I'm not sure he's going to
Oh,
notice
that's
this one,
true. That's true.
but okay. To all of you across the globe, thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate you. Cheers. Talk to you soon and be well.